Ir nifty in. Ir nifty in. You stalk me like common prey now. Bayek.
Give me the orb. I do not want to kill you.
My mother told me this is our role. To restore Ma'at and put Amun back on his throne. This is why I was born. This is why to hide and watch as they slit her throat. So I would have the strength to do Amun's will.
This is not strength. This is savagery.
Ir nifty in.
This must end, Isidora. You betrayed Amun, our people, your duty. I will not betray mine. father, Akhenaten, passed down the orb. Tutankhamen wanted to restore balance, entrusted it to the priests of Amun. But Isidora distorted the ritual in the name of vengeance. She betrayed her own gods.
Now that Bayek has stopped fapping around and looking for a religious answer to why all of these Pharaoh shadows keep getting summoned to the real world and killing everybody, we finally go on to the actual reason why this was happening, and probably the one that Bayek should have gone with first. The piece of Eden that was doing it all along. I know that the whole point of the 3 Pharaoh murders previous to this was that Bayek was trying to track down where the piece of Eden actually was, but seriously, if Bayek is so freaking dense to not realize that ancient, long-dead pharaohs don't have the piece of Eden anymore because someone probably alive has it and has been doing all of this nonsense, then that's probably what you should have been starting with. Like, if there's one thing that the Curse of the Pharaohs completely fucks up, is that it doesn't really explain the narrative to any great degree. And it really needs to, because it's trying to be a sort of mystery type thing, but not really. There's definitely a mystery in there, but it's not the main point of what's going on. So I don't know why Bayek is being this stupid and going into the literal heavenscapes to try and find where the piece of Eden is, rather than realizing that someone probably stole it from a tomb and is now using it, and the person who's doing so is actually alive. I don't know the logic behind Bayek's thinking, considering that if this was actually what he was thinking, then the logic behind it would have been that someone dead was using the piece of Eden to summon dead zombie things to reality in order to kill people, and how does that make any sense? Whatever the case, Bayek, after having a Dr. House moment randomly dropped into his lap, figures out the person doing the crime was actually the priest who sent him on the whole heavenscape journey in the first place, Isidora. The reason behind why she is doing this is because she wanted to avenge her dead mother who was killed by bandits, and she wanted to finish a ritual to summon or reincarnate Amun, who was her god that she was worshipping. Again, the narrative doesn't really make any sense. It seems like Isidora wanted to do 3 things simultaneously, and they just had to go with all of it at once, even though it doesn't really make any goddamn sense. Isidora isn't set up well as the villain. She does well enough for a Ubisoft twist villain, I guess. She doesn't really do much, and when she finally does get caught out with the piece of Eden's power, her best solution to the problem is to summon Tutankhamen's pharaoh to fight Bayek. Which was a pretty shitty move, because across all the pharaohs that we've been fighting, Tutankhamen is actually the most bitch weak. Like, his spear doesn't have a very good range. He doesn't have the bullshit attacks that Ramses does. He doesn't even have a ton of health. You can run around Tutankhamen and basically just get in a bunch of free attacks while he's flailing around, barely tracking to you at all. His AI is so fucked up that I don't even know why Ubisoft stuck him in the game at all. Like, we could have just had a simple, little bit of design, a bit of a chase around assassination set piece with Isidora. We didn't have to have the 4th pharaoh fight with Tutankhamen, especially if it's going to be this boneheadedly designed. Like, this is the point where you start looking in the project for when they ran out of effort, and unfortunately it happened at the end right here. Because Tutankhamen is barely designed, it barely functions as a boss fight, has the AI of a potato, and no character work that would make him interesting in the slightest. He literally is just a final boss that was stamped right in the middle of the game where it didn't need to be. And then as you're watching this video, what follows it up is a stupid chase with the Tutankhamen spirit who turned into a light ball, who eventually leads us to Isidora anyway, and she gets killed off screen. We didn't even get to assassinate her, she just got killed by a cutscene. I mean, I wasn't expecting any sort of satisfying ending to this, because basically Origins fucked up everything it tried to do all the way down the line. But even so, did you have to go with this much of a freaking cop-out? Like, I would take a freaking Gamelat ending over this bullcrap, because this is bullcrap. Like, this is low-grade ending bullshit that masquerades as something that we paid extra for to experience. Isadora wasn't set up as a good villain, the supernatural elements weren't very crowbarred into the Origins' world very well, explained very well, and therefore weren't interesting to any degree. The whole mystery and investigation was bullshit from the start because Bayek was being a cosmically giant idiot, and this ending basically just shows you the quality of Curse of the Pharaohs, even though Ubisoft was asking for $20 of extra money to experience this at the time of writing. It's this kind of stuff, especially in a DLC, that is the most insulting. Like, you are taking money out of your fans' pockets, and these are your big fans. Okay, they're the ones stumping up the extra money, and yet you can't follow through on the promise to actually make something worthwhile, Ubisoft. Waste 5 hours of our time to get to something substandard, mediocre, average at best. It isn't the biggest middle finger I've ever seen from a video game developer, but it's gotta be right up there with stupid DLC design ideas. If you feel the exact same way I do about this ending, then don't buy any AC Origins DLC. It's not worth it.